You're listening to Newshour from the BBC World Service with me, John Donison. Now, about 200 businesses in the United States have been hit by what's been described as a colossal and devastating ransomware attack. A cybersecurity firm, Huntress Labs, said the hack targeted a Miami-based IT company. Kaseya then spread through corporate networks using that firm's software. It's believed that the Russian-linked Revil ransomware gang was behind the attack, the same group blamed by the FBI for paralysing meat packer JBS. Well, Emily Taylor is the chief executive of Oxford Information Labs and editor of Chatham House's Journal of Cyber Policy. Emily, thanks very much for joining us. What do we know about what's happened?
This is another ransomware attack. We've seen plenty this year, too many, I would say, and it combines with a so-called supply chain attack, which is it's got in through the software of a trusted supplier that provides services, provides software to service providers that in turn provide security services to a range of customers. And that is why, it can be very, very widespread damage, because you get to 200 estimated, it's going to rise through 200 victims through a handful of these managed service providers who are using the single piece of software. And that's what makes it so dangerous.
And then they've demanded a ransom, financial payment.
That's right. What it does is it locks away access to services, your documents, and your really ability to do business. And so it's as if you just can't get into any of your systems, any of your documents. And so it can be devastating, especially in this situation where the software that's compromised is something that is supposed to help people manage the security of their networks and systems. And so because of that, it has a very, very low level access right across people's network and systems. And that means it's a trusted piece of software.
And do the firms usually pay up?
Firms do have very strong incentives to pay up. I mean, this is, if you're taking a policy point of view, you would say, well, don't pay the ransom because it endorses the business model. But when the victims are under pressure, and this is, of course, in the US, a holiday weekend, so they'll be very short-staffed, you're under pressure, you just want to get access to your stuff. So, of course, all the drivers are there to pay the ransom.
And of course, this comes just a few weeks after the US President Joe Biden and the Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Geneva, where they discussed ransomware attacks like this, didn't they? And
yes, they did.
President Biden looking for assurances that there wouldn't be any more coming from Russia.
Yes, not only looking for assurances, but also making, what can only be thought of as threats, really, for a response in kind. He's saying we in the US have very strong capabilities. I'm not saying what they are, but there's a sense that, the US is building up to responding to these kind of attacks in kind through cyber attacks themselves. Now, these are not thought to be state-sponsored attacks directly, but these are organised criminal gangs thought to be located in Russia. And the reason why Biden was talking to his Russian counterpart about it is that, states are not supposed to shield or give impunity to criminal gangs to act in this way.
It's going to be an interesting one to watch how it develops. Well, Emily Taylor is the chief executive of Oxford Information Labs and editor of Chatham House's Journal of Cyber Policy. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, the UK has almost 5 million tonnes of nuclear waste in storage. For humans, it's tricky stuff to handle. But now a team of scientists at the University of Essex is working to develop robots that can handle huge doses of radiation to help dispose of it. Professor Klaus MacDonald-Meyer leads the research for the university's Computer Science and Electronic Engineering department and began by telling me all about those robots.
We're one of the partners of the National Centre for Nuclear Robotics, which is a £42 million programme to go and deal with the challenges of helping to clear up Britain's nuclear waste. And obviously it's kind of one of the biggest environmental problems we're facing in the UK, and it's estimated to take up to about 120 years and cost in excess of £200 billion to go and really deal with that. There's enough nuclear waste to fill up Wembley Stadium at present. And
Wow.
the people that do that clear up, I mean, it's at the moment done by people that wear protective clothing. It takes them about 5 hours to go and get dressed. Then kind of take some time to go and get to the location to do the work. They only get to work on it for about 2 to 3 hours, and then they travel back, and all the protective clothing at that stage is turned into additional nuclear waste. So for every barrel of processed nuclear waste, we generate about another 10 barrels of new waste that's kind of a lower radioactive level, but still needs to be handled.
So the clothing can only be used once?
Yes, the clothing can only be used once, and I think they use in the order of about 10,000 kind of specialist protective rubber gloves in Sellafield every day at present. So you can see that having robots to go and stay in those nuclear environments and undertake that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week would be a real benefit, because we would have that labor force constantly available, and obviously it means that the people that are doing this work at the moment wouldn't be exposed to radiation anymore. So it's a lot safer and potentially faster, and in the long run much cheaper than using humans to do that work.
So how close to that are we?
We're still quite a bit away. So I mean, there is some fundamental challenges with using robots in such extreme environments due to the fact that there is radiation. So that would mean that some of the sensors, like cameras that we use to go and understand what happens in the environment and what the robot would use to go and interact with the environment, don't work quite as well. And that's something which we're looking at as part of the project. And the other problem we're dealing with is the fact that the electronics that controls the robots does degrade over time. And
the radiation damages the robots?
Yeah, the radiation in particular damages the electronics of the robots. And that's where our research comes in, because we're basically building new types of microelectronics, new types of electronic chips that can basically deal with these radiations. So they have some additional resources in them, and using those resources, they can basically identify when they start to break and heal themselves with allocating different parts of the chips to go and really undertake that work. That's one of the big new things we've contributed to this space, to be able to go and extend the mission lifetime of such robotic systems very much beyond what would be possible with standard electronics at the moment.
And that was Professor Klaus MacDonald-Meyer, who's a lead researcher from the University's Computer Science and Electronic Engineering. That's at the University of Essex, on those plans to get robots to try and help clean up 5 million tonnes of nuclear waste stored here in the UK. That, though, is all for this edition of News Hour, another edition at 2000 GMT. For now, though, from me and the rest of the team, bye for now.